wants to rise up in the house of our God? Who wants to give the Lord a mighty shout? Who wants to be a pillar in his presence?
There's an obvious hostility against American tradition, against the very people that actually are patrons of their restaurant, and against anything that has to do with American history. They want to wipe it out, and they want to wipe out our history and redefine our history. And up until recently, they've been getting away with it for a long, long time. If these woke, leftist, demon-possessed knuckleheads, if you allow them to erase true American history, it will allow for the lack of recognition of what God has done throughout our history. Because you cannot study our history without knowing the goodness of God to this country and through this country and in his people throughout the centuries that we have been here.
Boom. Wow. What a fire little just portion of Pastor Troy's message from this past Sunday. And friends, if you missed it, you need to go after the post today, of course, not right now, but a little bit later, go and watch on ODX or on YouTube Pastor Troy's message from this Sunday. It was so good. It was also funny. He had a lot of fun with it, but he brought the fire. And don't worry, Pastor Troy is here. I know I'm sitting in his seat, but that's just because Pastor Troy is actually way out at Redemption Ranch. Pastor, how are you?
Well, I'm fine as frog hair. How are you doing? Just overcoming battles out here. I'm actually able to join you guys on the phone today because my setup doesn't work over there. And I'm bummed out about that, but this works. And so, hi, man, I'm for whatever works. So praise the Lord.
Yeah, we're glad that you're here. And I know you have so much going on from the dove hunt, which is where you are at right now. And you've got lots to update us on. So, man, we're excited to hear about it.
Oh, it's good. No, man, it's good. We've got a great team of people out here. We're doing the big annual dove hunt out at Redemption Ranch. Encourage you guys to go to ODX and look up all of our Redemption Ranch stuff. It's 720 acres of God's goodness out here where we rescue the rescuers. And then every now and then we get together and just blast a bunch of birds out of the sky, which is what's taking place this week. And it's going to be taking place next week as well. And in the weeks to come, and had a very successful day yesterday. Our first day was really good and had a really good time. And so we've been out here doing this, and so that's what I'm doing. And then in the midst of the dove hunt, we have everything that is going on all over the world, including our team is on its way down to the Kerrville area right now with 9,000 pounds of food. We are still in that fight. And so many of you guys have helped us in that fight. I want y'all to know, man, we haven't left yet. FEMA's going to blow in, take the pictures, blow out, offer everybody a $600 check like they do. Whoop-de-doo. It's going to be up to the body of King Jesus to actually stand there and to do the kingdom work to help hurting people that nobody else in the world cares about, because there's nothing in it for them to be able to help these people. But this is where the body of Jesus steps up. And this is why it's really important, friends, that you continue to pray for us and that you stay in the fight with us. So don't forget, guys, give us a call. Call 877-413-0888, or you can simply go to troybrewer.com and say, not on my watch. Hey, listen, I'm in all the way. I'm not giving up. And I think that this is the right thing to do. And I know that you do. Also, this last Sunday, Shay, man, you just came in, man, with this reel. What did you think about Sunday?
Oh, it was so fun. It was so fun. It was so good. You told us a couple of days prior that you had this like timely message, word from the Lord, that God was speaking to you through the headlines of the whole Cracker Barrel debacle, which God tends to speak to us through the headlines as we learn and as we have seen. So I just thought it was such a great message, so relevant. And so that's why we really wanted to give our viewers today just a little taste of what that message was, because it was awesome.
Well, I hope that everybody will go there. I hope that people go to ODX and actually watch it. And I don't know if we separated. One of the things that we do on Sundays is we put the entire 5-hour service on there. And I don't like that, but it's necessary on Sunday, but it's not necessary after Sunday. And so I don't know if those guys have dwindled it down and if they've done their thing and worked all their magic and got it on there. But I mean, we've had thousands and thousands of people that watched that watched it live and then also have watched it since then. So if you go there and like, God, this is a 5-hour sermon. No, it's about a 30 or 40-minute sermon. You just have to do the work to go through there because we haven't separated it. So
we
do
did
that.
separate it for Sunday. So it's up there.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's up there separated. And we have already 7,000 views, over 7,000 views on YouTube
Oh, that's
alone.
great. Oh,
Yep.
that's great, man. So is that actually separated on YouTube as
Yep.
well?
Yes.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, that's good. So thank y'all for doing that, man.
Yes,
That's a big
sir.
deal. So guys, it's easy for you to watch it now. Just simply go to YouTube and watch it, and or you can go to odx.tv. You should be able to watch it on my Roku channel, which is where I always watch it. But I'm up here at the Redemption Ranch, so I haven't been able to see it. But I did see it. I did watch the 5-hour version last night because I didn't see the other version, and I went through it. Yeah, I went through. Well, I'll just go through this 5 hours and I'll find it here. But I did. I found it, and it was really good, and it was funny, and how the Lord moved. Now, with all the comments, with all the thousands of people that actually watched this, and all the comments that was on this, oh boy, there's some people that got mad. How dare you say that you're not woke? Oh, listen, I'm not woke. I'm not. There ain't a woke bone in me because Jesus is never, ever woke, ever. And I actually went off on how that this thing was born from a demon actually in the body of Jesus. And I talked about it extensively and just said, this all happened. I really do believe this all happened with about 20 something years ago with the whole seeker friendly agenda.
Yeah.
And where we say, hey, we need to do our church, and we need to call this in the name of evangelism. Man, we need to start doing church. We need to start doing worship, and we need to start preaching the Bible for people who do not love God, and for people who do not love the church. And don't worry about the people in the church because they have no other place to go. But we're no longer going to serve them. Now we're going to serve somebody that comes in here that has hostility, and we're going to make sure that there's no hostility because we believe that Jesus is nice. I do not believe that Jesus is nice. I think that Jesus is kind, and the kindest thing you can do for somebody is save them from hell. And that's what you ought to do. And outside of that, the kindest thing that you can do is save them from sexual slavery. And let me tell you, man, you don't do that by being nice. I'm so distant from that way of thinking. And sadly, a lot of believers are deceived into thinking that they're not going to be represented unless they're woke. Dude, Jesus Christ represents you. And there's a place for you in the body of Jesus. And I promise you, there's no place for the body of Jesus in things that are woke. And so I got up and I hammered that and talked about it for a long time. And also talked about how that the reason why they try and they hate our traditions, they hate our culture, and they definitely want to change the culture. And they also hate our history. And the reason why they hate our culture and our history and our traditions is because in order to acknowledge that, they have to acknowledge the goodness of the Lord throughout the centuries here on the North American continent. And they don't ever. So anybody that ever redefines history, one of the things that they take out on top of the truth of the history is they take out anything that God did, because our nation's history is so miraculous. Man, you cannot look at our nation's history or even our traditions or even our culture, the parts of those things that are obviously heavenly, and go, man, we have to leave. You can't look at it without seeing the goodness of God. There would be no nation had not God Almighty done a miracle on the Potomac River, and have we not had a man of God by the name of George Washington who prayed and cried out to the Lord. Well, so they want to just say, well, he was a bad guy and he was ugly and he was terrible and we should never honor him. Well, the reason they don't want to honor him is because they don't want to honor the miracles that God Almighty did with it.
Wow.
And that, friends, we cannot partner with in the body of Jesus. So I used the whole Cracker Barrel incident to actually use that and to talk about it, and which is the Cracker Barrel debacle, which is really funny. And but I brought a really serious word, and I want to tell you, man, I was this morning going through all my social media, looking at all the hateful things that was on there. I answered some of them, and I just erased some others. My team had yesterday off, so they didn't get to do that. But I was doing all that this morning and looking at it and just going, wow, this has really made people mad. And that that makes me a little bit happy.
I know. I was going to say, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. And I mean, we on purpose leave some of those comments up because I think it's good for people to interact and to talk back and forth. And we're like, hey, that's a big part of, I think, what you bring to the table that's unique, Pastor Troy, is that like you don't cater to what society says. You are not woke. That is the last thing that I would say. But you did redefine woke on Sunday. So to be clear, we can, what did you say? What does it stand for? I actually screenshot it on my phone.
It's witnessing our King everywhere.
Yeah, we can be that kind of woke.
Yeah, we can be that kind of woke.
The other kind of woke is not for us. So I don't know. I always think it's fun when you get some of the haters.
Well, you can't be woke and feed people because woke believes that that's the government's job because they're all socialists.
Yeah.
So if you're woke, you ain't gonna feed people. There's no such thing as the woke programs that are out there doing selfless acts of redemption for other people. That's not what they're doing. All they're doing is grabbing a hold of a demon of hate and telling everybody we're the good guys and you're the bad guys and you're infringing up on our rights. And now they've come out. I mean, it's come out. I mean, and praise God for, I would just want to say praise God for Twitter and praise God for X, because like a lot of the things that we know now that we see every single day, you don't ever see those things on the news. And now it's out. It's like, everybody's like, it's so cool, man, that we're taking in these billions of Muslims from all over the planet and bringing them into our country. And it's just so beautiful. It's actually not beautiful because they don't assimilate. You know, the people, the whole Muslim quote unquote faith is not a faith. It's a civilization, and it's a civilization that is not compatible with any other civilization upon the planet Earth. This is why the 53 other Muslim nations will not take in quote unquote Palestinians. They're like, they're not compatible. They're going to eat us up. They're going to start bombing us and killing us, and they're going to radicalize everybody around them. And they're like, no, you cannot come into our nation. Well, that's why, because it's a death cult. And you cannot have a civilization of Islamic people without there being sexual trafficking, without there being pedophilia, without there being terrorism, without there being Sharia law, without there being the buying and selling of women and children, without there being the murder of people and it being sanctioned by the local leaders. That's the fact, Jack, and it's been that way for about 1,500 years. So to say, no, listen, woke says we want to erase the history and we want to show you how beautiful it's been. Anytime that Muslim invaders have invaded nations, that again, they want to change history so that you can't see where God is at in it. And where God is at is he doesn't want boys and girls sold for sexual slavery. He doesn't want the age of consent lowered to 9 years old. He doesn't want that. Now, this Muslim civilization that is coming into all these other civilizations and taking them over because they bribe and they pay malicious leaders that are traitorous leaders to actually go along with them. There's some people still left who will stand up and say, no, listen, we know our Jesus, we know our nation, we are patriotic, and no, we will not go woke. We're not going to do that. So my Sunday message was all about that. And it's a huge mantra I have, because the reason why I'm so adamant about this is because we actually do feed people. And the reason we feed them is because the church has lost its responsibility and therefore its authority by believing the socialist lie and turning that over to the government and saying, okay, the government says, well, they'll just take it from here. Let me tell you where they will take it every single time, into something worse and worse and worse, because the more messed up we are, the more dependent upon we are to them to fix it. Unless friends, unless you are a kingdom person, unless you're full of the Holy Ghost, and unless you know Jesus as your Jehovah Jireh. And so I'm very grateful for this thing that is happening within the body of Jesus, and the eye-opening awakening that has taken place of what these things actually are. And woke will never allow you to tell the truth or to say what something actually is.
That's so good. We had a comment here from NTPL Prophecy. If you're not being hated for the truth, you're not speaking the truth. And I'm like, that's actually a very true statement in this day and age. It's like, there are so many pastors out there and people that just cater to what is PC, what is friendly, what will not hurt people's feelings or ruffle feathers. And the reality is that that's not how Jesus lived. Like, he spoke the truth, and that's what we aim to do. And I love that.
I just gotta One of the most popular, one of the most watched videos that we've ever put out is my video that says Jesus ain't nice. And my thing goes off all the time on comments. And just a few minutes right before we got on, a Christian got on and said, "This is absolute heresy." Well, it's hard to have a real conversation with somebody who accuses you of being a heretic. So I'm not interested in having a real conversation with them. I'm
Yeah.
just not. I'm interested in pointing out that they are deceived, and I as a leader will not deceive my people because you're forcing me to be nice.
Yeah.
Jesus is not nice. Jesus is kind, and Jesus is a warrior ruler. And in his kingdom, where there is righteousness, which means everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. That's what righteousness is. And when righteousness rules and reigns because the king rules and reigns, then things happen the way that they're supposed to happen. And the molestation of little boys and girls and the outbreak of pornography and the mess of the government takeover and weaponization of the government to actually harness people that are doing something about it. Well, it's come out now. And I've been saying this now for 30 years. And I've been saying this for 30 years. And you don't fight in the fight that we're fighting if your highest concern is safety and being nice.
Yep.
Okay, it can't be about your own safety. It also cannot be about being nice, or you will never, ever do the work that Jesus has called us to do in this day. So throw the whole value of being nice out the window and say, no, here's the deal. We are going to protect children. We are going to feed people. I want to stop, and if I can say this as well, because I feel the Lord right
Yeah.
on. You guys here. And by the way, thank you for everybody who's just joined us. Be sure and push the buttons and do the things and say, "Hey, I'm watching," and do the things if you would. Please subscribe if you're on YouTube and follow. Would you please do those things? Whenever one of the things that I got yesterday was some little Christians said, "Hey, it's cool that you do all these things, but FYI, for your information, you have no idea that old people sometimes are actually having to move out of their homes and live in their cars, and they're having to do this and do that, and nobody's taking care of them." Okay, well, for your information, I do know that. And I've been doing that for 30 years. So what I talked out was, thank you for whatever amazing work you're doing to rescue these people. I can tell you what our work is, but since I don't know about your work, which I promise you, there ain't no work. There's
Yeah.
nothing but, see, you're the bad guy. See, that whole conversation, friends, that entire conversation comes from a woke
Yep.
a narrative of deceit, and deceit is always about deceiving. So the woke narrative is always deceitfulness, which means, hey, listen, you're going to feel yucky if you actually address things because you're not being nice. So here's how we do it in a nice way. Just turn it all over to us, because we have a Judas spirit. And you shouldn't have given that money to the poor. You should have given it to me, and I would have given it to the poor. But they don't give a rip about helping anybody poor. They don't do anything. Why? Because they're not motivated. Why would they be motivated unless Jesus is their king and unless they believe that Jesus is going to hold them responsible?
Yeah.
I fear the Lord.
Mhm.
And I have learned that if you're going to fear the Lord, you can't fear a bunch of leftist liberals.
Yeah.
You cannot fear them.
Yeah, I agree. And Pastor, since you mentioned that, I feel like this is a really good time to also just let people know who are watching. You mentioned you get this hater comment of someone saying, well, what about the people living in their trucks and their cars? Listen, we talk a lot of times about the kids that we rescue all over the world because we do media. We do all of this so that we can rescue kids all over the world. But that's not the only thing that we do. That's a piece of the ministry that we do. And Pastor Troy and Leanna have been doing that for 30 years and have saved over 11,000 kids worldwide. And when you sow into Troy Brewer Ministries and into the work here, that's one of the things that we do. But hey, you know what? We also help widows. We also help orphans. We also help victims of the flood just in our backyard in Texas here. Pastor Troy is going to give us an update on that in just a moment here, but we have a team that actually is on their way to Kerrville right now. And hey guys, the flood happened a month ago and we're still boots on the ground helping to rebuild, even though you don't see it in the headlines, even though not everyone is blasting it from the rooftops anymore. We're still there helping people rebuild. So the work doesn't end. And we are not even able, we don't even have enough time to talk about all of the the work that we do around the world. So I just want to encourage you, if you are looking for somewhere to get involved, to a ministry to sow into that's actually being the hands and feet of Jesus, please take this opportunity. Call 877-413-0888. The number is right there on your screen. That's our 24/7 prayer line, but that's also where you can get any information about the work that we do all across the globe, including the work that we do in our backyard for widows, for orphans, for people in need, for people who don't have money to buy groceries. I mean, our food bank, we've got incredible testimonies from our food bank this week. So yeah, I just felt like that was a perfect time, Pastor Troy, with you mentioning that comment to remind people, for your information, if you're one of those people watching, well, what are you guys doing? Hey, we're doing a lot, and the work doesn't ever stop.
Well, I want to, just a very good, for example, is on Saturday, and I was out there at the food bank. And again, we're celebrating 30 years of OpenDoor Church this month. And we're also celebrating 35 years of the OpenDoor Food Bank this month. And which is a tremendous wonder. It's all a wonder to me. But on Saturday, I was out there at the food bank, and we had thousands of people, over 3,000 people, almost 4,000 people, 3,888, which is a very prophetic number, 3888. Wow. 888 is a number for King Jesus, right? And 3 is a number for fullness or perfect completion, like Jesus showed up, I promise you. And while we gave away nearly 100,000 pounds of food, absolutely free, the way that Jesus would do it, the way that Jesus did do it, while we gave away more food than what everybody expected to have, and while it was better than what everybody thought it would be, what's real is there was 5 first-time salvations out there, and then when at the end of the day, when we looked, the people that we gave food to came from 53 zip codes.
Wow.
53. And that's the most zip codes we've ever had recorded, which was last Saturday. And so the week before that was also the highest one, which was 49. So we had an additional 4 new zip codes show up saying, please help us. And this is a work that we're doing for all of North Central Texas. I mean, there's 53 zip codes that showed up at the food bank. And so it's making a tremendous difference here locally. It's making a tremendous difference nationally. And it's making a tremendous difference internationally. So I want to say a great big thank you to all of my OpenDoor tribe all over the world. And all you cats, man, that you support us, you bless us, you're partners with us. Way to go, man. You're making a tremendous difference, and I bless you. So I know that there's people all over the world that are on right now. Where do you guys see people at?
Yeah, like right now we've got Christine watching in Tifton, Georgia. We got Linda out in Colorado, Ivy in Garland, Texas, Liskey in South Africa, Amy and Wes in the great state of Flower Mound.
Flower Mound, the great state. But hey, South Africa, shout out to South Africa.
Yeah.
I don't even know what time it is there,
I
but
know that there's lots of nations.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So man, just go ahead and take some time and pull up some nations for me, Chris. I'd greatly appreciate that. All right, let me say also too, in this room in here, I have a whole room full of guys that are in here and they're listening to the show right now. And we have been shooting at the 500-yard target. How did y'all do? Yeah. That is a good gun, isn't it? I love that gun. And I love that scope that's on it too, as well. What's funny is, man, we just got through eating breakfast in here, and then we lift up these doors behind us, and then we start blasting from inside here out there, which is crazy cool. So you got food on your plate, you got a gun on the table, kabam, bam, bam. Outstanding work. Good job, Pastor Jerry. Right on.
Did Pastor Jerry also make breakfast for you guys? I heard you guys had a nice breakfast over there.
Yeah. How was your breakfast, boys? Yeah. So, man, when you come out here, man, a big part of the experience for us is we want the food to be way better than what everybody thought it was going to be. And that's one of the things that we do. And I'm just going to tell you, because we have the OpenDoor Food Bank, we cook the food that we give away at the OpenDoor Food Bank. So when you see we have steaks, when you see we have this, that's all the food we give away out there. And it's like, whoa, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So have you guys had a good eating experience out here? Yes. What's been your favorite? What's been your favorite thing that you guys ate? Smoked crab, mesquite smoked crab.
Whoa.
Are you kidding me? Oh no, it's yeah. So we got he's putting pork sliders over there, pulled pork sliders over there. Are you about to bring me one? Come here. So this is just the afternoon snack here. And this is why, man, you guys need to book a hunting trip out here or bring your youth group or bring somebody out here. Yeah, this is the slider.
Wow, look at
This
that.
is a Pastor
Wow.
Jerry slider right there. Oh my gosh. Now the pork goes with my diet. I'm on a crash diet. I don't know if you guys
Yeah,
know
you are.
that.
You're on that carnivore thing, right?
I am on a carnivore thing. Yeah, I am on a carnivore
Are you
thing.
going to eat the
And this is a
bun?
great. No, I'm not going to eat the bun.
Oh, good
I'm not going
job.
to. No, I'm not going to. No, I'm being
Self-control,
good.
Pastor. Good
I've
job.
got my protein drinks. I'm killing it. I'm going to lose a bunch of weight, man. You guys be in prayer for me about that. Right on. But we've been talking all this warrior stuff, and I have a friend that's joining me here today, who is also a well-known warrior. He actually joined me on Sunday, and Pastor John Arroyo is here with us today. Pastor John, are you there, buddy?
I'm here. I'm listening to all the good stuff. I'm just like, every time you say something, I'm like, ooh, ooh, ooh. I just, all these thoughts just going up in my head. Like I need to write that down. I need to write that down. So
Oh my God, that's good.
that's where I'm at right
Well,
now.
thank you, John. Hey, man, you did a great job on Sunday, by the way.
Yeah, Pastor, I mean, I appreciate that, but all I really did is just let people know one other thing that we're doing here at OpenDoor Church and Troy Brewer Ministries and the family of ministries. And so I appreciate that. I thank you for the opportunity to just educate the world on what we're doing. Pastor, there's not many churches, and if they are out there, we could probably count them on one hand, the work that is happening under one roof.
Well, it's a terrible privilege, is what it is. It's a big, terrible privilege. And man, we have to do this. And this is the mantle and the calling, John, that God Almighty has given us. And man, we're doing it. Man, we're doing the kingdom stuff. And we're not flawless. And we're making lots of mistakes. I'm kind of like a wrecking ball, and I peg everybody's cringe meter. Everybody's like, this would be a lot easier if you wouldn't make it so hard. Well, I don't have an agenda for it not being hard. I want to take on hard stuff, and I want to see the kingdom, and I want to see transform lives, and that's what I'm doing. And so this is our 30th year of pastoring this great church, and we started this church off 30 years ago with 7 people, and here we are today. And look at what the Lord has done.
Pastor Troy, when you talk about doing hard stuff, on Sunday I talked about the military and the work that we're doing there. For those that don't know, I'm a former Green Beret. And Pastor Troy, that Green Beret wasn't just given to me. I didn't just show up and get the trophy. I had to earn it. And I had to go through some really hard stuff. And I didn't know that I was a Green Beret. The Army doesn't make Green Berets. What they do is they pull it out of you. And you have to do really hard things in order for the military to pull out what's inside of you. And that's what it is. The Navy can't mass produce Navy SEALs. The Army can't mass produce Delta Force operators. What they do is they pull it out. And the only way that's going to happen is you put 100-something pound rucksack on your back, you carry a weapon, and you go out in the woods by yourself, soaking wet, hungry, starving, and you got to figure it out. And that's what we're doing here at OpenDoor Church.
Well, what I'm doing is I'm eating a pork slider right now.
And shooting guns.
We're shooting guns right on. Now, I'm not going to be there this week or on Wednesday or Thursday because Leanna is going to be preaching on Wednesday night, and she actually has Bridget. Bridget is the beautiful young lady that we began to help when she was a little girl. She's a Ugandan girl. She actually grew up to become Miss Uganda, and she's going to be with Leanna all week and also at the women's conference. And that's going to be a really, really big deal. So I encourage you guys, hey guys, let your girls come out to the women's conference. It's going to be life-changing. It really and truly is.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited. I feel like the fact that we are going to have Bridget in house, I hope she's ready because she's basically a celebrity to all of us here, and we've been sharing her story and talking about her life and how she's been connected with you and Pastor Leanna, and it's going to be so incredible to hear from her. Actually hear from her. And so
Yeah, she has no idea she's famous among us.
Oh, yeah. And I heard
she has
she's
no
bringing
idea.
her baby, her 2-year-old.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah, she's
I'm
got a
signing up for
2-year-old.
that. I will sign up for holding the baby, for hanging with the kid. That's me all day. So I'm excited. It's going to be great. And we're hoping that you're going to get a chance to even sit down and do an interview with her as well, because I would love to help make that happen.
We will.
Yeah.
So she's one of my daughters in the Lord, and you guys will see her and you'll love her. And she's going to be a big part of the conference this week. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn this over to y'all because I want Pastor John to be able to give his heart today. And I want Pastor John to be able to say, hey, this is what's going on. And John is an incredible, number one, he's a very good friend of mine. He's a pastor on staff. Yes, he is a Green Beret. Yes, he did survive not only combat overseas in 3 different tours, but he also survived combat right here in the state of Texas with some knucklehead that went around Fort Hood, shot up everybody, including Pastor John, shot him up to pieces. It's a miracle he's alive, and it's a great privilege to have him with us here today. So Shay, I'm just going to turn all this over to y'all,
Okay.
And I'll let you guys have it from here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Pastor Troy. Have fun, be careful, be safe, and enjoy the pork slider for us.
I will. Everybody needs to plan on coming out here and booking a hunt or a fishing trip out here at OpenDoor Ranch. And
Yes.
man, do that. Man, you guys need to come out, book a hunt, book a fishing trip, and come hang out with us. Guys, I love you guys. Bye
All
bye.
right, we'll see you later,
Thanks,
Pastor.
Pastor.
Wow. Well, I'm glad he was able to zoom in. We weren't actually sure if he was going to be able to connect because they are literally out there in the boonies, as I would call them. I've never actually been there yet. Have you been to Redemption Ranch yet?
I've almost got called out
okay.
there. An
Yeah.
emergency happened.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get to make it out there sometime soon, but excited that he could update us with all the different things going on. But I'm really excited that we have Pastor John Arroyo in the house because, as you mentioned, Pastor, you're a former Green Beret. You miraculously survived the shooting at Fort Hood, and God literally raised you up from the dead. And now you're on staff here at Open Door Church, which is just such a God's timing thing, especially in this day and age when we're seeing shootings. I mean, a shooting just how many was it, like a month ago at another military base, right?
Yes, ma'am, at Fort Stewart Military Base in Georgia.
Yeah. And you were already scheduled to go speak there.
Yes,
And have you gone yet?
I'm leaving tomorrow.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So this is just so the Lord. And so I'm really excited to hear, I can't wait to hear about all the things.
Yeah. One of the things that we're doing here at Open Door Church is we're taking on the fight against suicide. So there's so many different things that we do in Open Door Church that you can get kind of confused. So we're taking on the fight to rescue and raise kids. We're taking on the fight to feed people, 53 different zip codes. We're taking on the fight to raise kids. And there's so many fights. Well, guess what? The one that we're going to talk about today is the fight against the suicide epidemic in our military. And, you may hear when I say that, it can get kind of confusing because the active duty and the veterans are 2 different demographics.
Yeah.
So you have the veteran community, which is what you hear is 22 veterans a day that take their lives.
Wow.
I was told just recently by someone that's a great confidant of mine and someone that I really trust. And I haven't verified these numbers, but I trust him. And he said, John, because he's working with the Pentagon, he's working all the way right now, even as far as Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump. And he said, John, those numbers are higher. They're higher. You just don't get those numbers because, again, they're regulated. So what you see is regulated. Everything on the internet is not always what it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So
Right.
weird. Can't believe
I
that.
thought if AP puts it out, then that's
a real
legit.
thing.
Yeah. So 22 a day is still too many, but the numbers are possibly 3 times that.
Wow.
And so that's just the veteran community. But lately what's been happening is the active duty have been calling because these guys are struggling. You have active duty units that have an active shooter situation in Fort Stewart, Georgia. I'm going to Tinker Air Force Base, which is right up the road from us. And over the summer, one of their organizations had 4 suicides on one base. This is like a spirit of
crazy.
death.
It is a spirit. Yeah.
This is a spirit of death. And I remember years ago, I don't know if you guys, many of you know because you follow Pastor Troy, but you would just understand who I'm talking about. Randy Clark, Bill Johnson, right? So I was at a Randy Clark conference and it was right as I was getting ready to retire. And someone said, someone prayed for me and they gave me a prophetic word and they said, the Lord's going to send you all over the world. And oh no, the Lord is going to send you to some of the darkest places in the world. And I was like, wow. Well, then you show up on staff at Open Door Church and they're going to Uganda and they're going to South America.
Wow.
So you're like, oh, wow, I'm going to go all over the world. But I haven't been on those trips where God has been sending me is to Fort Stewart, Georgia, to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, to Fort Hood, Texas.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that some of the darkest places in the United States are here in the United States.
Can you
Wow.
rewind that a little bit? So obviously, like your story, your testimony lends itself to the military, right? And ministering to veterans, active duty. And now it seems, at least in this season, it has taken a hard right turn into suicide prevention and education, awareness, all these things. How did that even begin? Because I imagine you're an evangelist, you're out there, you're preaching, you're talking to our veterans, you're talking to our active duty, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we're going to take this hard right into mental health.
Yeah, it's still evangelism. So one of the things, Pastor Chris, about evangelism is, see, we power evangelism can be a couple different ways. And there's some evangelists that, like Billy Graham, that the Lord, or Pastor Brian Bolt, that God puts them in a stadium. Then there's some evangelists that the Lord sends into the marketplace.
Yeah.
Right. Pastor Brian Schwartz goes into the marketplace and he coaches and helps people. And that's, brings the word to them. And so for me, what God has done is send me into the marketplace. But what he did is he gave me a very niche group. So the military is my niche group to do what? To take him. But the way I do it is I do it the way Jesus had done it. And what he showed us is Jesus did power evangelism through storytelling.
Yeah.
Parables. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is like. So what I do is I go into the military and I say the kingdom of heaven is like, and then I show them my neck where the scars, where I was shot in the throat. And then I walk them through the 8-step process that I wrote a curriculum about, and I talk to them about how I do it, how I went from point of injury to how I'm here encouraging you. And the fact that what has happened, Pastor Chris, it's not that I took a hard right turn. It's that the fires have been blazing in these places and the Lord is opening the door, and now we've gotten structured. And so the Lord is saying, I'm sending you in to answer this evil. Pastor Troy says it. I'm sending you in to answer this evil. If the church doesn't do it,
Who else is going to?
who else is going to go? And don't get me wrong, I know that there's other organizations that are out there and they're doing their best. The government's even trying to do it, but the VA is not the answer. The government is not the answer. So what the Lord is doing is he's using us here at OpenDoor Church. He's using my life. He's using my circumstances. He's using my story. He's using my past.
Yeah.
And he is saying, go in there, power evangelism, tell stories. The kingdom of heaven is like, and you tell them how I took you from an orphan boy, how you were bleeding on the ground, and what I did for you, why you didn't kill yourself, how you and your wife made it. And what you do is you're going to relate to them. So if I go in there and I try to give them a Bible, they're not going to accept it. But if I go in there and say, man, my wife, just 6 months before I was shot, both her parents died 9 days apart.
Wow.
So it wasn't just me. It was everything. And oh, by the way, we had just left the base that we were at for 15 years, and we were only on this base for 5 months. So our complete infrastructure was in North Carolina. They get that.
Wow.
They understand it. And then what happens is we get common ground and their hearts open and they're willing to listen to me.
That's awesome.
Because I just become vulnerable to them.
Yeah.
So Sunday you mentioned just kind of like what Pastor Troy said earlier, like if you miss Sunday at all, we've trimmed it and we left Pastor John in there so you can actually hear him talk a little bit about what he does and what he's doing over the next couple of weeks and continues to do. But you talked about 3 resources that are going with you. Can you talk a little bit more about that for everybody here?
Will. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have the picture of the resources, but what I have, and if you guys look at that picture, the top book is my story, Attacked at Home. So I mentioned it earlier that I can't go in there and say, hey, let me give you this King James Version Bible because they're not going to take it. They're going to give me the Heisman.
Yeah.
But if I said, hey, look, let me give you my story. It's about a Green Beret who was shot at Fort Hood. That's a soft knock. That's just giving them. And what it is, it's testimony of my wife and I all the way to the cross. That leads them straight to the cross. So what happens is when I go and I speak to the soldiers, their hearts are open. And what do you do in that moment? You plant a seed. And so I plan a tack at home. You see them on the end of the table right here.
Yeah.
I want you guys to know
Wow.
that unit right now that you're looking at that picture on, that is Special Operations Command. That is the headquarters for all U.S. military special operations. Everything that happens spooky in the world, in the United States, comes from that headquarters right there.
That's cool.
And that
So
is
cool.
only the second time in 12 years that they had a prayer breakfast and they allowed us. And it was our church that went in there.
That's amazing.
And so what I'm doing, so those books, those resources, this is how you get in the fight, right? So those resources at the end of the table, I left them for free. And I told my story, and so what happens is they grab them, they take them, they're open. So go back to the resources page real quick. So the second thing I put in their hands is this book called I Never Heard My Dad Say. The generation that we're dealing with today hasn't been to war. Not all of them. So what are they struggling with? They're struggling with the war that happened in their homes.
Yeah.
Mommy, daddy issues, being molested, parents divorcing, being slapped, not having a dad, not having a mom. So they have these invisible wounds. And what happens is the military places pressure on the things that they never dealt with.
Yeah.
All those things that you stuck in the closet. So what I do is I give them this resource. So then we have a step-by-step process of walking them to freedom. Because for me, I went looking for a dad my whole life until I found my father.
Wow.
So I give them a tack at home that leads them to the cross. I give them, I never heard my dad say, that gives them identity and freedom. And the last resource is the book on the left, which is Finding Resilience in Today's World. This is, the Lord had me write a curriculum, and this is part of it. This is us filming episodes there, but we wrote a 8-step curriculum. The Lord showed me how I went from point of injury till how I'm here encouraging you. And we wrote a complete curriculum, and and I give it out. I have it available for them. And it's the steps that and again, it's written in their language. And so I have these resources. And so now God has given me, there's other people that go in and they speak like Dave Reaver. Dave Reaver has been doing this for years, right? But Dave Reaver's going to be 80 years old soon. Who's picking up the mantle to go and to answer this call? It's us.
Yeah. I mean, Pastor Troy says it all the time. If we don't show up, nobody else is coming. And I just think I'm curious to know, like, when you get to actually talk to just any of the people that you're able to get like face to face with, what is there like a theme of questions that they ask you, or what is their response when they hear your story? Like after you've gotten done, you've talked, and then, maybe people are milling about and just come up to you. Like, what's the tone of what you're actually hearing from the men on the base?
Desperation.
Wow.
Some of them is desperation. I had I spoke, and I don't want to say where just because it's confidential, but I had a young E5 sergeant walk up to me. She was a female, and they're looking for answers. Because here's the thing, friends. If psychology and counseling could have answered the suicide epidemic, we'd be done already.
Yeah.
Jesus is the answer. But the thing is, everybody has been woke for so long that Jesus is not allowed to be spoken of. So how are you going to get healing?
Yeah.
That's what we're bringing. We're bringing hope and healing. The only way you can be healed is through Jesus Christ. There's 1,000 ways to be broken, but only one way to be healed. So what's happened is when they come to me, Shay, is they're looking for answers. How did you make it? How did this and so I had this sergeant walk up to me and she said, "Sir, what do I do? One of my soldiers wants to kill herself." And she told me, the soldier tells me, "Well, why can't I kill myself? My squad leader did, and so did the chaplain."
What?
This is the stuff. And so this is the stuff that is happening in our formations. It's a spirit of death that has come against our military.
It really is.
And so what happens is this curriculum now, I have something structured that I can share with them. And in those moments, Shay, it's like this. What is your source of resilience? Right? So I'm speaking their language, right? John Maxwell goes all over the world and he speaks their language, but he brings the kingdom. So what I'm saying to them is, what are you grabbing onto as your source? Because when people get broken or they're going through things or they're still dealing with invisible wounds, or maybe, yes, it's PTSD from war. What is that thing you're grabbing onto to bring you peace? Well, back in the day when I was a young soldier in the 82nd Airborne Division, we were told we were the most physically fit alcoholics. So it was easy for soldiers to grab onto alcohol because that's been the thing that, well, I've had a hard day, had a hard week. You know, when you work hard, you could play hard. That's the military culture. And if you go on base, if you go to one of the Class 6s, if you go to one of the PXs and you just go to the gas station, 70% of that gas station is filled with alcohol. So I tell them, when things get hard, what are you doing? What are you grabbing onto? And I'm sharing with them in this curriculum, you have to make a decision on what is your source of resilience. For me, I made Jesus a source of my resilience. And something that God gave me, and I'm going to tell you guys this real quick. Recently, I said, Lord, how do I help them? And he said, John, you use their language. You use their language and you use their resources. So God showed me that the Army has created, and almost every military organization has the same thing. It's called the Health to Fitness program. So the Army has said, if you're going to be a resilient soldier, then these are the 5 domains that we will see lived out of your life, almost like the fruit of the Spirit, right? So love and joy and peace, right? For the fruit of the Spirit. So the Army has said, and I have it in my curriculum, the Army said, if you want to be a warfighter and be fit to fight day and night, ready to be called upon to go anywhere in the world, you're going to have the readiness of family, health, nutrition, spiritual, and there's one in community or something like that. I may have gotten them wrong, but no one ever came to me and said, "Oh, there's a spiritual component to the wholeness, to the resilience, to the health of a warrior." No one ever told me that. So I looked into it, and what the Army has said is the spiritual component to a soldier is what helps them in times of hardship, tragedy. And I'm like, are you serious? You're telling me that the spiritual component is a thing that I'm supposed to grab onto that's going to help me in times of hardship and tragedy. So this is what I did. I said, thank you, Army. Thank you for showing me that. Because now when I go and I speak to these soldiers, I tell them the reason why I'm healthy, the reason why after I was shot in the throat, I'm the one here encouraging you, is because I did what the Army told me to do. They told me that the spiritual component is the thing that's going to help me in times of tragedy and hardship. And that spiritual component for me is Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so I'm like, so if you don't have this spiritual component, and I can't tell them to define it, I define it for myself. I'm like, then go see your chaplain. And so what I tell them is that spiritual component became the foundation of my recovery. And then on top of it, God put doctors and nurses and therapists and counselors. So
you said you're leaving tomorrow to go, and you're going to be speaking in front of people who just experienced a tragedy on their base. What has the Lord put on your heart to share with them specifically?
Yeah, so this is crazy. Like the things that happen here in OpenDoor Church are not normal in other places.
Yeah.
One of my friends is the battalion commander for this unit. And when he took command, like in June, he sent me a message. He said, "Hey, John, it's Suicide Prevention Month in September. Would you come?" And I'm like, "Sure." A couple weeks later, all of a sudden, they have an active shooter event on his base. I didn't know this, and I didn't find this out till yesterday, that it was his unit that actually had the active shooter event, and it was his soldiers that were shot. God had me scheduled to go to Fort Stewart, to this specific unit before the shooting even happened. That's how you know God is fighting for you.
Such a time as this.
I'm telling you, I can go, I don't want to get sidetracked, but I can go back and I can see everywhere God was. And so that's why when people say, "Where was God?" I'll tell you where he was.
Yeah.
He already had me scheduled to go to this base because he knew this was going to happen. Okay, so your question is, what am I going to share with them?
Yeah.
I've been asking God that question because I have my curriculum,
Right.
but something that the Lord showed me, and I don't ever go into any situation thinking I know what God wants to say. That's not my opportunity to go speak to those troops. That's God's opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm just his mouthpiece.
Yeah.
I'm his ambassador. He's not mine. So I asked him, I said, Lord, what do you want to say to these soldiers? And that the story of the alabaster flask where Jesus was anointed with a costly oil, and where Mary breaks it, and then all of a sudden the fragrance fills the room, and then she pours it out and she's preparing Jesus for burial. But this is what the Lord showed me, that when we're crushed, we give off a fragrance. So think about that perfume bottle. Think about that cologne bottle.
Yeah.
Just imagine dropping it. All of a sudden, it would just, that fragrance would fill the room. If you were to take an orange and squeeze it, you would smell the citrus, right? You would smell that. It would fill the room when you squeezed it. So, and Shay, this is for the people that are on the other side of this. For those of us that have been crushed,
Yeah.
what's the fragrance that's coming out of us? Is it anger? Is it suicide? Is it death? Is it fear? Is it backbiting? Or is it forgiveness?
Yeah.
Is it seeking wholeness? Is it seeking the Father? Because you can be real stinky, or you can smell like the rose of Sharon.
Good word.
Wow. It's just so cool because there's literally no one else in the world that it's so the Lord that like you are someone who has lived through this traumatic experience at Fort Hood. Now you're bringing your testimony to people who just experienced it. And it's just, you see God's hand in it so much. And I really believe that like the Lord has something extra special for these people and for like individuals there. And I'm excited to hear your testimony because I just believe you're going to come back with crazy testimonies from this trip.
So let me share something else that the Lord is showing me. David, the life of David, right? So we've all studied the life of David, but just recently the Lord had me just reading through 1st and 2nd Samuel, and it was just exploding. Okay, so there's a scripture in I think it's 2nd Samuel in the Bible where it says, and David perceived he was king. So finally, when David finally becomes king of all of Israel, not just Judah, all of Israel, it says, and David perceived that he was king and that the Lord had established him as king for the sake of the people. Okay. So David wasn't established as king so that the Lord could now say, well, you're a man after my heart. I'm giving you the kingdom. I'm giving you this big house. I'm giving you all the gold. I'm giving you all these servants. David was established for the sake of the people. Pastor Troy and Leanna mortgaged their home 7 times for the sake of the people. John Arroyo was broken. And now, what is the Lord doing? He's established me to go back into the military for the sake of the people.
So cool.
So, friends, David suffered. He was the anointed king who served the sitting king. And he was running for his life. He had to even act like he was crazy in front of another king. He had to do all this stuff, and he suffered. Why? So that God can work his character out in him.
Wow.
So one day he could establish David to be the sitting king, the anointed king, and it wasn't about David. It was about the people.
Wow.
God just needed someone he can trust. So I've been through the fire. Pastor Troy and Leanna have been through the fire so that we can go back to where we have influence for the sake of the people.
Wow.
Amazing.
So good.
And it's good that God's giving you
So good.
influence right now for the sake of our soldiers and our military and those who are battling thoughts of suicide and all the crazy mental health things that soldiers go through in their journey, you know, during and active and then after once they get home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is to help show them. So thank you for that, Pastor Chris, but also to show them that you can go through some really hard things. You can have a life where you didn't have a dad, like I never heard my dad say, but you can be a legacy starter. So
That's
you
good.
can be crushed. You can be, I grew up, my dad died when I was 5 years old. I never heard I love you and I'm proud of you. So what is the legacy we're going to leave? Is it going to be a legacy of brokenness? Is it going to be a legacy of orphanness? Or is it going to, or are you going to get up?
Yeah.
Are you going to get up and give your family, what's the fragrance that's going to come out of that? So what I've chose to do is to be a legacy starter and say, I'm pleading the blood of Jesus right here in that line, and death is not going to go onto my children. Orphan heart is not going to be poured out on my children because it stops with me. I suffered for the sake of the people and I partnered with the Lord. And so that's what I'm sharing with the soldiers. Hey, look, you may not have had a dad. You may not have had a mom. You may have been shot at. You may have went to war and came back and you're broken, but it can all stop with you. And I'm evidence. There's a picture. Taylor, can you put up that picture, the four of me? This right here is what I don't only tell them, I show them. This is my life, from gangs to war, to wounded, to redeemed. You can have this life. The first two guys without Jesus, the last two guys with Jesus, and look at the transformation.
So cool.
You can have this. And Chris, this is what I'm showing them.
This was, I actually saw this. This image is powerful because this is the first time I saw this was Sunday. Like, you know, been here a little bit of time. You and I chatted here and there, know your story a little bit. But I saw this image and was like, wow, that literally is 1,000 words.
Yep.
Like you can see the angst and the anger change from behind the eyes.
Yep. Like that's a different person.
Yeah,
like
100%.
I don't know that person. That is crazy.
That dude was a meth addict.
Wow.
No way, really?
That's the whole reason why I joined the army.
No way.
So there's every one of those guys has his own story, but no one can come to me and say, well, you don't know.
Yeah, seriously.
You're like, well, I was injured in Afghanistan or Iraq. Okay, well, I went to Afghanistan and Iraq, but I came home and one of my own brothers shot me in the throat.
That's crazy. And too, I love that you don't wear your trauma. Like you have been clearly delivered, and you could have worn your trauma from your dad, and not having your dad say, tell you that he loves you, that he's proud of you. That's enough trauma right there. Like for someone to really cripple someone for their entire life. And I think there's many people that do. And I also think this is a society that kind of worships victim mentality.
Yeah, it does.
And it like elevates it. It like pushes it. It's like everyone, those are the voices that seem to be rising. And it's like, man, I just pray that there are more voices like yours that come to the forefront of people that are not choosing to live in that victimhood and in that bondage, but you're breaking free.
And what has happened, Shay, is that, when I first walked out of the hospital a couple months after, I was at a church and the Lord spoke to me and he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to church, because that's all I knew to do. I didn't know anything about what a fivefold was. I barely knew the Bible, and this is 2014. And God said, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to church. That's what I thought good Christians are supposed to do. And he said, I didn't save you to go to church. I saved you to tell the world about me. But like David, it's taken years to work on the character, because like Pastor Troy has said, God didn't give me my ministry until I was 50 years old. Why? Because if he would have gave it to him at 45, he wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
It would have been about Troy. And it wouldn't have been able to help. So the Lord has had to make sure that it's about him and not me. And that's why it's taken years. And now that he can trust me, now the doors are really opening.
Wow.
And this is what we're doing here at OpenDoor Church. We're going after the suicide epidemic. I'm looking to start a group with, I just met with a couple recently to start a veterans group here in OpenDoor Church.
Ask that, yeah.
And so we're getting after it, and people can support us.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. And we do have even retreats throughout the year for our veterans and first responders. So, this is OpenDoor Church has something for everyone. And I just want to encourage you, if you're interested in all of the things that we have going on, check out our website, opendoorexperience.com, to hear about all the different things that we have going on within the church. Sorry, Taylor, I just threw that new website out there for you. But also, you can call the number on your screen, 877-413-0888. And friends, as we wrap, I want to end showing you a picture of a new rescue that we had told you about. I think it was last week. We were actually 2 weeks ago, we were in the process of rescuing her. We found out we did get her. Her name is Annabelle. She is 12 years old. And here's a look at a picture of her. And what I see in this picture is a sad, sad child that has been through literal hell, who, praise the Lord, has now been rescued, and her redemption story begins now. Her new story begins now. And I have no doubt that the next time we see a picture of her, her face will be transformed. And, she has been through so much, but God is writing her story now. And we're so happy that he has sent us to be the hands and feet of Jesus for little girls just like her. She's now safe in one of our safe homes. She's gone through all the things with the authorities and all of that. And I pray and I believe that they're going to be going after those who did the awful things to her, because that's also a big part of the work that we do. It's not like we're just taking in people that need to be rescued, but we're working with the state prosecutors in the various countries to go after and put the people in prison that need to be. So I'm just so happy. And if you guys could be praying for sweet Annabelle this week, as you hopefully are praying for all of our rescues. We have over 4,000 kids in our care all across the globe, which is hard to believe for a church of our size. I always tell people this isn't like a mega church. We've got maybe 1,500 people here on a Sunday. And yet we do so much in the nations. And that's because of you. That's because of partners like you. So please get in this fight with us. Go to troybrewer.com and click on give, or call 877-413-0888. You can also snail mail to the address on your screen right there. And guys, I just thank you so much for every single person that has partnered with us. And I just want to pray a blessing over every single family, every single household that is sowing into this ministry, that has sown into this ministry. I pray that the Lord will return it back to you 100-fold, 100-fold. And I declare that. And I know many of you give in faith and sow in faith into this ministry. And I just speak blessing over you. I release the floodgates. Let the floodgates of heaven be released in your families. Maybe you're sowing for a financial breakthrough. Maybe you're sowing for your family. Maybe you're giving because you're believing for one of your own children to return home, like a prodigal child situation. And I believe that when you give, as you sow into this, the Lord will reward you with what you have been praying for, what you've been waiting for. So thank you guys so much for joining us for this special show today. And tomorrow, I'm really excited because we're going to have Pastor Leanna here. And man, whenever she joins us, it's just the best. I love her, the mother of this house. And she's so fun. And she just got back from a whirlwind trip from Asia. She's going to be talking all about that. Plus the women's conference that is just days away, Life Under the Rainbow. It's going to be so incredible. Ladies, if you're in the area, you better get here. That's all I'm saying. We have childcare. We're going to have a vintage shop. We've got the best merch. I can't wait to wear some of the merch that I have already. And it's going to be an incredible time. And Chris, you'll be here because you'll be helping all the things behind the scenes.
I'll be behind the scenes. But you know what I also found out is tomorrow night, Dr. Leanna is not only going to be here on the polls, but tomorrow night, she's going to be in person speaking about her trip. And she hinted at this.
Okay.
She might sell and release some of her books.
Oh, her new book.
Right.
Oh,
Remember, it was supposed to be only for the conference, but like Sunday, we haven't heard officially, but like Sunday, she's like, I'll think about it.
Might bring it Wednesday night.
Because there's a lot of things. You got to make sure all the inventory's in, got to check inventory.
Yeah.
All the wonderful, set it up on the iPad so they can,
Told us they can buy it. Well, that's amazing. And I'm so excited for that because we are celebrating the release of her brand new book, Life Under the Rainbow, which is it all works. She did that on purpose. It's the theme of the conference. And I love that we're reclaiming the rainbow, by the way, because I love a little color in my life. And that's, the rainbow is a promise from God. Yeah. So I just love that Pastor Leanna, she doesn't hesitate.
I'm glad she is too, because when my son was little, I remember when he was in pre-K, he came home with a rainbow pinwheel. Yeah. And he was so happy. Yes. And he's like, Dad, I want to put this in front of the house. And I'm like,
I don't know if
this is going to go great in the backyard, buddy. Like, I didn't know. But I'm glad that, hey, listen, that belongs to God.
It belongs to the Lord.
It does not belong to any other group, no other agenda, except God's promises and God's covenant to us. And I'm so glad that we have a pastor who's not afraid to reclaim it for us.
We're reclaiming it. So it's going to be a great week, guys. We're just getting started. Pastor John, thanks again so much for joining us. And we bless you on your trip. And I cannot wait to hear all about it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to come back and giving a report.
Yes. Awesome. Well, we'll have you back on once you do. Until next time, guys, we call you the head, not the tail, above and not beneath, and highly favored of the Lord. We'll see you later, everybody.